Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with BonnieBayCrochet.com, and you've come to square number 9. I'll give you a view of it there. This is part of the From Around the World 3 2018 Crochet Along series. This particular square is called a Stitch in Time, and it's designed by Mims Designs. You can do this in many colors. I'm actually using 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe 5 colors in this particular square, and the directions, which are available by following the links. Look in the description of the video below, and you'll find the link to the blog, which will show you where you can find the pattern, as well as a link to the Facebook page where you can follow along and see other people's yarn choices and colors, and you can share your own with everybody else. And these are people literally from all over the world who are participating in this. The patterns are free, so there's no reason not to just join in on the fun. Come along with me. Let's get some equipment here. Let's make sure you have your 5mm or size H or 8 crochet hook. And I also recommend you always have a yarn needle handy, especially if we're going to be changing all these colors, and a pair of scissors so that you can trim the loose ends and hide those strands as we go. Okay, for this project, the designer gives us the choice of starting with a magic circle or with a chain 4, just to shake things up a little bit. I'm going to take the option of a chain 4, where we work a slip knot, like so, and I'm going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then join with a slip stitch to the first chain of those 4 chains, so that we make a little donut seed, just like that, or Cheerio, I like to call. After we do that, we're going to go ahead and chain 1. This does not count as a stitch, just to let you know. And then we're going to work 2 half double crochets. And as I work this, I'm going to work around this strand so that it'll be easier to hide. Go ahead, there's 2 half double crochets, then a chain 1. We're going to do that 4 times. Actually, yeah, that's right. Okay, I just want to make sure I am reading through the pattern. I just want to make sure that I give you the clearest instruction possible. And then over the strand here. And then I'm going to do another chain 1. And by the way, I am using color 1, which is the white, and I'll just show you the colors as I go and tell you which numbers they are. And concerning those colors, you can choose as many or as few as you like. If you only want to use 2 or 3 colors, that is totally totally fine. Okay, so after we do that, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first half double crochet. Now if you're using the magic ring, you're going to want to secure it and make it a little bit smaller for your work. And since I've already worked around all the stitches carefully, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that strand so I don't have to deal with it ever again. And that completes round 1. For round 2, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and that does count as my double crochet. And then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. Notice I'm doing double crochet and not half double crochet. When we get to the chain 1 space, we're going to work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then we're going to work a double crochet in each of those half doubles from the previous round. I'll do that again for you. We get to that chain 1 corner, going to work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, then a double crochet in each of the next 2 half double crochets, and then again the chain 1 corner, a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And that's going to bring us around to our last chain 1 stitch, where we work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Once we do that, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3, which is right here. Let's look at that chain again. 1, 2, 3. I like to grab 2 strands, but you can do one however you'd like to do it. Do a slip stitch. Okay, and that will end round 2. And I'm going to go ahead and fasten off because we're going to switch colors. If you're changing colors for the next round, again, if you're using a solid color, just continue on, and I'll show you how to work that. That's what you should have after 2 rounds. If you are using multiple colors, I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and hide the loose strand. I'm finding that this is very, very profitable for my time later, and it makes it easier to work with these squares with all the different stitches, and you know, it's a lot better than having all these strands hanging all over the place. So go ahead and hide that under a few stitches there. I'm going to go ahead and give it a trim close, but you know, make sure you don't cut your stitches. Okay, so that just, it's a lot easier to work with. For round 3, I'm going to use this very light blue as my color number 2. And the instructions say to join in any corner, chain 1 spaces. You should be able to see the 4 spaces. And I'm going to actually choose, let's see, I'm going to choose this one. And I'm going to go ahead and do my slip knot. And then I'm going to chain 3. Actually, plus 1 more. So the instructions say to chain 4. This counts as a chain 3, which is equivalent to a double crochet, plus the chain 1. And then we're going to work another double crochet, and I am going to actually crochet over this thread as we go so that I can kind of hide it there. After working that corner, that corner with the double crochet and the chain 4, we're going to work crossed double crochets. We're going to do 2 sets of them. We're going to skip the first double crochet of the 4. Double crochet in that next stitch. Now working in front of this stitch, we're going to work in the stitch just skipped. You may have to go in there and dig for the 2 top loops of that stitch. It's very doable. Skip this stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, and then working in front of this stitch, we're going to double crochet in the stitch here and just kind of grab those 2 loops. Don't rush this, okay, because you want to make sure that we don't split the yarn too much. Now when we get to the corner, we're going to work a double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. And then we're going to repeat that all the way around. We're going to skip the first double crochet. Remember, this chain is actually serves us as another double crochet, so double crochet in there. Working in front of that stitch. It is a little tricky, but go ahead and work in the top loops of the stitch that we just skipped. Skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, and working in front of that stitch, work in the top loops of the stitch that we just skipped. So we're going to work that all the way around. At the end of round 3, we're going to join with a slip stitch in the 1, 2, 3, the 3rd chain. Make sure that you leave 1 stitch, 1 chain right there for that corner. So go ahead and join with a slip stitch, and then we're going to fasten off because we're going to change our colors again. Make sure you leave a good size strand so that you have enough to thread into the needle and hide them. This is what you should have at the end of 3 rounds. So go ahead and take the time to hide these loose strands, and then we'll begin round number 4. Now for round number 4, I'm going to be using a darker, slightly darker blue that I'm calling a medium blue. And the directions are to join in any chain 1 corner. Now be careful that you actually pick a corner that has a chain 1. The designer also has a note that if your work is curling, this is curling a little bit, if your work is curling, do not worry about it because it will settle out as we progress. Okay, so let's go ahead and join going to go ahead and make my slip knot here. Make that chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. This represents a double crochet and a chain 1. And as we've done in the other corners, go ahead and add another double crochet to that. After that corner, we're going to work a double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1. And notice I am working over my loose strand to try to hide that as I go. 2 and 3. Okay, that's going to bring us to the space in between the 2 crosses, the 2 sets of crossed double crochets, and we're going to work 2 double crochets in that space. 1, 2, and I'm still working over this loose strand just to let you know. And then we work 3, or actually 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, and that brings us to another chain 1 corner. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and trim this thread just to kind of eliminate those as I can. Now we get to the chain 1 corner. We're going to work a double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. And then we're going to work this all the way around, but I'll go ahead and work that one more time for you. We're going to work a double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then double crochet in between those 2 crosses. Make 2 double crochets there. And then we're going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2. That's important you do another one here. It looks like it could be the corner, but make sure you crochet 3 double crochets there, okay? And then the chain 1 corner, make 2, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So go ahead and work that all the way around your square. This round ends by joining with a single crochet to the 3rd chain. So 1, 2, 3, the 3rd chain, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and fasten off because we're going to be using color number 4 in the next round. And I'm going to take the time to hide that loose strand, but this is what I have so far. Now we're ready to start round number 5. I'm going to go ahead and make a slip knot. And we're going to chain 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which counts as a double crochet and a chain 2. We're going to go ahead and make another double crochet in that same chain 1 corner space. After that, we are going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. After that, we're going to make our first popcorn, or what is abbreviated as pop. And the way this designer likes to do these is using double crochet. So we're going to work 5 double crochets into this next stitch. So that's 3, 4, and 5 double crochets. We're going to pull up that loop. We're going to go back to the first of the 5 double crochets. Make sure you don't go into these other stitches. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the first. And then we're going to loop our stitch like that and just pull it through the first double crochet. And let me show you from the side. It should really pop like this. And give it a chain. This chain does not count as a stitch, just to let you know, but this whole popcorn and chain count as 1 stitch. Okay, after we do that, we're going to work a double crochet in the next stitch, which is right here. And actually I've been working over my extra thread, so let me go ahead and get rid of that so I don't have to worry about it flopping around back there. So we have, let me just review real quickly. We have, as we're going across the side of the square, 2 double crochets, the 5 double crochets formed as a popcorn, and then 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to work a cross stitch or cross double crochets where we skip the stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. Remember now, working in front of that stitch, we're going to work a double crochet in the skipped stitch. Bring those loops up like so. And we've worked our cross stitch. After that, we're going to work a double crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to work another popcorn stitch or pop. So it's going to be 5 double crochets in the next stitch. We're going to pull up a loop, put our hook in that first double crochet, and catch that loop, and I'll go ahead and pull it down a little bit, and then pull it through, and give it a chain. And now we're going to double crochet in the last 2 stitches on that side. Okay, and then we're going to work the corner, which is going to be slightly different, so make sure you pay attention. It's not 1 chain, but it's a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. So let me show you what that repeat looks like. I'm going to go ahead and work that with you one more time because that was a lot of stitches, a lot of different things happening in a short space. Double crochet the first 2 stitches, work that 5 double crochet popcorn in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pull up a loop, insert our hook into that first double crochet, and pick up that loop and pull it through. And again, it should pop. It should have quite a bit of texture there. Give it a chain, and then now we double crochet in the next stitch. We're going to work across double crochets or crossed double crochets in the next 2. Skip this stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. Working in front of this stitch, go ahead and double crochet in this stitch that you skipped, and then double crochet in the next stitch, popcorn in the next, which is 5 double crochets. That's 3, 4, and 5. Again, pull up a loop, insert into the first. I'll make sure it's the first of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. Don't want to lose a stitch count or a stitch in our stitch count there. Give it a chain, and then double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and actually one of these stitches is that chain, so go ahead and double crochet in the top of that chain, and that brings us to the corner again. And there's just a chain 1 there, but we're going to work a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet, and that is your repeat. And you're going to need to work that all the way around your square. Round 5's ends by working a slip stitch in the 1, 2, 3, the 3rd chain of that chain 5. Remember, you should have 2 chains left up here for that corner, and then we're going to fasten off because we are going to change to color number 5. I'll go ahead and pull that through, and I'm going to go ahead and hide that with my yarn needle, and this is what you should have after 5 rounds. I'm going to be using a medium color, medium brown. I should have added at the beginning of the video, I am using worsted weight yarn. I just kind of went with that assumption, but we are using worsted weight yarn, and I'm going to join in any chain 2 corner, and just like we've been doing, I'm going to work a slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that counts as a the chain 3 as a double crochet, and that chain 2. And we're going to make another double crochet in the same corner space. Now we're going to work. I'm also going to be working this strand into my work. We're going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And after this, I'm going to go ahead and trim the stitch so I don't have to deal with it anymore. And the next thing we're going to do after that is work a front post treble crochet around the popcorn, and this is just simply going, put out your hook around the back and then the front, and just like that create that treble crochet, which by the way should be about the same height of the double crochets as you're going across. Now we're going to work two sets of cross stitches. We're going to skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next, and working in front of that stitch we're going to work a double crochet in that skipped stitch. You do that 2 times, skip that stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, working in front of this stitch, go ahead and double crochet in the stitch that we skipped so that you have 2 sets of those cross double crochets. Then we get to the next popcorn, go ahead and we're going to do a treble, front post treble. Again, the hook's going to go around, go in the front door, go around this stitch. You can see where my hook is at this point, and then complete that front post double crochet, and then double crochet in the next 3 stitches. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and that is your repeat across. And I will do the corner for you, which is going to be a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. So we're going to repeat that all the way around the square. At the end of round 6, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the 1, 2, 3rd chain of that chain 5, and remember those 2 chains there will remain as the corner. Go ahead and work that slip stitch, and I'm going to fasten off because I'm going to be using a different color for the next round. So go ahead and take the time to hide your loose strands, and we will start the next round. This is what you should have. For round number 7, we're going to join with a slip stitch. So go ahead and do our slip stitch. And we're going to chain 1 in any of the chain 2 corners. This does not count as a stitch. And now we're going to work 2 half double crochets, 1, 2, and again I'm working over this strand, chain 2 and 2 half double crochets. Whoops, let's try that. Okay, that would be the corner. And now we're going to work back post double crochets in each, or around each stitch to the next corner. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and trim this strand. Now make sure as you work your back post double crochets that you do work one over the first stitch, just like this. For those of you who have not done back post double crochets, it's just like working a double crochet, but we're going to come in the back door and we're going to wrap our hook around the body of the stitch, not through the top, and then we complete our stitch just like so. It's going to leave us a nice little texture. It's going to really be nice as it features the different color yarns coming together here. So just go ahead and work this all the way across to the next corner. Just wanted to show you this little texture that is added by working that all the way across to the corner. And when you get to the corner, we're going to work 2 half double crochets, chain 2, and then 2 half double crochets. So go ahead and work that all the way around your square. At the end of this round, you're going to join with a slip stitch to that first half double crochet corner, and go ahead and fasten off because we are going to use color number 2 on the next round. And I guess I could have stated sooner, but I'm going to go ahead and let you know that the double crochet count, the back post double crochet on each side is 14. So you should have 14 back post double crochets around or across each side, and then on each corner you should have 4 half double crochets and a chain 2. So this is what you should have after 7 rounds. For round number 8, we're going to join in any chain 2 color, and I'm going to go ahead and get my slip knot ready. And we're going to chain 3, and this is going to count as a double crochet. And then we're going to work another double crochet and chain 2 and 2 more double crochets in that same chain 2 space. Okay, just like that. After completing the corner, we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the hidden stitch, which is oftentimes the name given to the stitch that the corners will cover up, and we're going to skip the next stitch as well. And now we're going to work a puff stitch, and we're going to work it in this manner. We wrap the hook, stick the hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop. We'll do that 4 times. Okay, now we should have 9 loops on hook. Let's double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's correct. Yarn over, bring through all loops on hook, and then give it a chain. Now that chain does not count as a stitch. The puff stitch counts, and the chain counts as 1 stitch. After working that puff stitch, we give it a chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to work another puff stitch in the next stitch. So we yarn over, insert into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop. Do that 4 times. And if you're not sure you did it enough times, if you count 9 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we're good to go. Yarn over, pull through all 9 loops on hook, a chain to secure the puff stitch, and then chain 1. That actually is a stitch. Okay, skip the next stitch. We're going to do this all the way across the side, or actually repeat this until you have 8 puff stitches on the sides. I'll do one more with you. Yarn over, we're skipping this stitch, insert into that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert into that stitch, and pull up a loop. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're good. Yarn over, pull through all 9 loops on the hook, chain to close, and then chain 1. So go ahead and do that until you have 8 stitches or 8 puff stitches across the side. After working those 8 puff stitches across the side, we're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to work 2 double crochets, chain 2, 1, 2, and then 2 double crochets all in that chain 2 corner. And that is going to be your repeat all the way around. Just take a good look at that. Okay, so go ahead and complete that round, and I'll show you how this round ends. Round number 8 ends with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. It'll be 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to fasten off because we are going to change colors again. I'm going to go to color number 3. Okay, so let's pause and take a look. This is what you should have at the end of round number 8. So go ahead and take the time to hide any loose threads you might have, and we'll start that next round. To start round 9, we're going to join in any chain 2 corner. Go ahead and form our slip knot again. and we're going to join with the chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and we're going to work 2 half double crochets, chain 2, and then 2 more half double crochets, all in that chain 2 corner. And I am actually working all of this over this loose strand, and since I've already done that, I'm going to go ahead and clip that so I don't have to worry with it again. Now going across, we're going to half double crochet in the space between these 2 stitches. So just go right down between those 2 stitches. We're going to work a half double crochet in that chain 1 space, and then we're going to work a front post double crochet, front post half double crochet around the puff, like so. Wrap the hook. Our hook's going to go around the top of the puff stitch, just like this. Yarn over and pull through, so you've completed that half double crochet. We're going to do that 8 times. Half double crochet in that chain 1 space, and then half double crochet, a front post half double crochet around the top of that puff stitch. Okay, 8 times. Okay, so I've done 3 there, so go ahead and do that 5 more times, so they have a total of 8 repeats of the half double crochet in the chain 1 and a half front post half double crochet around that puff stitch. After we've repeated that 8 times, we're going to do another half double crochet in that chain 1 space, and then we're going to do a half double crochet in between these 2 double crochets, and this is actually the chain 3, which represents a double crochet, so just go right in there in between the 2 with that half double crochet, and then we come to the corner and we're going to work 2 half double crochets, chain 2. I'm going to turn this square a little bit, and then 2 more half double crochets right in that same space, and that's going to be your repeat all the way around your square. Round 9 ends by working a slip stitch to the top of that first half double crochet of the round, like that, and go ahead and fasten off. Now we've come to row 10, which is a little trickier than what we've already done, so I'm going to try to go as slow as I can. We're going to join with a slip stitch, or go ahead and do my slip knot. We're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This serves as a double crochet and a chain 2, and then we work another double crochet in this corner. So these corners are going to be a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Now we're going to work a double crochet in the same, in the next 2 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and work over that double crochet as I go just a little bit. Okay, so double crochet in the first 2 stitches. There are no hidden stitches in this corner, as you can see. Now the instructions, I'm going to go very slowly on this. We're going to front post treble around the first double crochet after corner chain space of round 8. So this is round 10, this is round 9, this is round 8. So we're going to do a front post treble crochet around this stitch. So this is, again, this is row 10 that we're on now, this is 9, this is row 8. Go ahead and just front post treble around that stitch, like so. After that, the instructions say to double crochet in the next stitch. So I'm going to double crochet in the next stitch. This is back working on row 10. So the next stitch, double crochet. We're not skipping a stitch behind for this particular stitch. I just wanted to make that clear. After this double crochet, we're going to work a double treble. So we're going to wrap our hook 1, 2, 3 times, and we're going to go down to row number 7, and we're going to work this in this first skipped stitch right here. Yarn over, pull through, do that 4 times. It's a nice tall hook, and it should bring you up to the same level as where you are on row 10. Okay, after that, we're going to skip one stitch, and that would be on row 10. We're going to unskip that stitch and then double crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to do that repeat with the double treble and the double crochet and skipping the stitch and so forth, a total of 9 times. So let's do that again. Wrap the hook 3 times. We're going to go down to row 7, and we're going to work that double treble in that skipped double crochet down there. Back on row 10, we're going to skip the next stitch here and then double crochet in that next stitch. So as you're doing this, you should be able to see these puff stitches peeking through. We shouldn't be working over the puff stitches. So I'm going to do this row with you all the way across because I know it's a little trickier. Wrap the hook 3 times for that double treble, going down to row 7 where that skip stitch is exposed, and complete that double treble, skip 1 stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. We're going to work that a few more times. Get our hook wrapped 3 times, go down row 7 to that next skipped stitch, skip a stitch behind here, and then double crochet in that next stitch. Wrap the hook 3 times for that double treble, go down to row 7 where that skipped, double crochet, work that double treble, yarn over and pull through 2 loops 4 times, skip a stitch, double crochet in that next stitch. Let's skip a stitch here, double crochet in the next stitch. Wrap the hook 3 times. Skip a stitch right there, double crochet in the next stitch. I really think this square looks much more interesting personally with multiple color changes in it. I think it really does help to feature the various stitches that the designer has worked into the square. Of course, it's going to look lovely with a single color as well. Okay, skip a stitch, double crochet. Let's stand back and take a look at what we have here. And let's count to see that we've done this 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 repeats. Okay, we've done that. That's good. After those 9 repeats, we're going to front post treble around that last double crochet of round 8. So front post treble around this stitch. Remember, this is row 8, 9, and we're working on 10. After that front post treble, we're going to work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. That brings us to the corner where we're going to work a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet. And that is going to be your repeat all the way around your square. I hope that was, worked well enough for you to see that. It's really kind of fun to see the different, the different colors kind of shading that and coming through there. Row 10 ends by joining with a slip stitch to 1, 2, 3, the 3rd chain of that chain 5 at the beginning. And I'm going to go ahead and fasten off so that I can begin with another color yarn. Now, if some of you are using the same color, you don't have to fasten off. You can actually slip stitch through any stitches around here. I know I'm kind of late telling you this. I apologize for that, but you could just slip stitch in each stitch until you get to the corner, and then after you work that slip stitch, and then you can begin your chain to begin the next round. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you what we have after this round has been completed. And I'm going to go ahead and hide my loose strands and then we'll begin row number 11. To begin round 11, I'm going to be using color number 5, which for me is brown. I'm going to go ahead and join in any corner, any of the chain 2 corners. Go ahead and get my slip knot, and we're going to do this with a chain 5 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is going to count again as a double crochet. The chain 3 counts as a double crochet, and then a chain 2 corner. We're going to go ahead and work another double crochet in that same chain 2 corner. Now we're going to double crochet in the next stitch, which is right here. Okay, I'll try to show you that. Okay, I'm going to go a little slow here so that we can get this correct. We're going to front post double treble around the first double crochet of corner from round number 9. We're on 11, so this is 10, this is 9. So we're going to do a double treble. We're going to wrap the hook 3 times and go down to this stitch right here. And we're going to work a front post double treble, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to do that 4 times, 2, 3, 4. And there you have your double treble worked around that stitch, first stitch of the corner on row number 9. I'm sorry, round number 9. Now we're going to skip this stitch, that is to skip this stitch behind it, and then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to front post treble around the front post treble. Okay, the front post treble is right here. Okay, so far so good. Now we're going to skip the stitch that's behind it. It says skip this stitch, and it means, you know, skip the stitch right here. Okay, now we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to work this pattern 9 times. We're going to work a popcorn in the front post, in the top of this front post double treble, and then we're going to work a DC in the next stitch. We're going to do that 9 times. So let's go ahead and do the popcorn. Remember, that's with the 5 double crochets, all crocheted into that same space. Let's make sure I have enough here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull up a loop, insert our hook into the first double crochet of the grouping, and then we pulled our yarn tight and go ahead and pull it through that first loop. Give it a chain. The chain does not count as an extra stitch. Remember, this whole thing counts as 1 stitch. Then we work a double crochet in the next stitch. And we're going to do that 9 times. I'll do that one more time for you. Remember, we're working the, I'm sorry, we should just wrap the hook once. We're going to be working these popcorns in the front post, and in the, you know, double trebles here. So 9 double crochets in that next stitch. Make sure we have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go back into the first one. Pull up the loop, yarn over, give it a little chain, and then double crochet in that next stitch, which would have been a double crochet from row 10. So go ahead and do that a total of 9 times. So after those 9 repeats of the popcorn, followed by that double crochet stitch, we're going to work a front post treble around this front post treble. Going to skip the stitch behind there, a double crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to work a double treble. So wrap that hook 3 times, and we're going to work this double treble back on row number 9. It's the last double crochet of that corner stitch. And then after that we have 1 more double crochet to work. And now we're ready to work our corner. So go ahead and work the double crochet, chain 2, and then a double crochet. And this is going to be your repeat all the way around the square. At the end of this round, we're going to go ahead and fasten with this slip stitch to 1, 2, 3, the third chain of that original chain 5 that we started with. And go ahead and fasten off. If not, go ahead and slip stitch into that chain 2 space if you're going to maintain the same color. I'm going to go ahead and follow the designer's instructions with instructions for the 5 colors, and I'm really enjoying this part. And so this is what you should have at the end of round number 11. And I believe some of these popcorns are going to settle out after the next couple of rounds, so don't fret too much about that. Go ahead and hide your loose strands and we'll begin round number 12. For round number 12, we're going to go back to color number 1 and go ahead and make that slip knot. And we are going to join in any chain 2 corner and go ahead and chain 5, and that's going to count. That chain 3 is going to be that double crochet equivalent, and then plus 2 more for that corner chain 2. And then we're going to work a double crochet in that same chain 2 space from round number 11. And so that's going to consist of your corner for every corner. After we do that, we're going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and continue to double crochet on top of this strand as well. Okay, so after we do that, we're going to front post treble around the front post double treble. Well, before we do that, let's go ahead and trim this stitch so we get it out of the way. Okay, there we go. And now on to our front post treble in this double treble from the last round. Okay, now we're going to skip the stitch behind it, which is right there, and then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. We're going to front post treble crochet in that front post treble. We're going to skip the stitch behind it, and then we're going to work a double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Then we're going to front post treble around the popcorn and then back post treble around the next stitch. We're going to do that a total of 8 times. So we're going to front post treble around this popcorn, and then we're going to work a back post treble around this double crochet. I'll just do that one more time for you to show you what we're doing. We're going to do this total of 8 times. And then a back post treble. So go ahead and work 8 repeats of the front post treble and the back post treble. After those 8 repeats, we have 1 more popcorn. We're going to go ahead and front post treble crochet around that popcorn, and then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. After we do that, we're going to front post treble crochet around the front post treble from the last round, and then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch, and then another front post treble after that last treble. And again, just to remind you, we are skipping a stitch behind it. This front post treble is actually substituting for these stitches. And then we're going to double crochet in the last 2 stitches. And then we go back to our corner, which is going to be a double crochet, chain 2, and then a double crochet. And so that is going to be your repeat all the way around your square. At the end of this round, join to the 3rd chain with a slip stitch and go ahead and we're going to fasten off. If not, go ahead and slip stitch to that chain 2 space. And just wanted to mention, as I get ready to hide my loose ends, that should you need the stitch count, make sure that you have that pattern already downloaded, and then you can get the complete stitch count and all that information you need. It's a lot of information to repeat and each round, but it is in written form once you don't download that free pattern. Again, it's listed in that description of the video below. So this is what you should have at the end of round number 12. For round number 13, we're going to join with I'm going to get my slip knot here, and I'm going to join to any chain 2 corner. I'm going to go ahead and chain 1. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. For each corner of this round, we're going to work 2 single crochets, chain 2, and then 2 single crochets. I'm working this, as you can see, on top of that loose strand so that I can hide it later. Okay, after we do, let's go ahead and get that strand there. So after we finish our corner, as we've joined, we're going to work single crochet in the next 31 stitches. So basically a single crochet in each stitch across the side, and you should have a total of 31 when you get to the corner. When you get to that corner, go ahead and do a 2 single crochet, chain 2, and 2 single crochets in that corner. So go ahead and work that all the way around your square. This round ends with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Let's go ahead and find it right there. To the first single crochet of the round. And we're going to maintain the same color for the round 14, which is actually the last round of the instructions prior to those last 3 rounds that we've been working, called the finishing rounds or the base rounds. Okay, so we're going to go ahead for round 14, and we're going to chain 1. This does not count as a stitch, just to let you know. We're going to half double crochet in the same stitch as we joined, right like that. And then we're going to half double crochet in that next stitch. And then when we get to the corner, we're going to do 2 half double crochets, a chain 2. I'm going to go ahead and turn my square a little bit. I know that's a lot of motion for you. And then 2 more half double crochets right there in that corner. Then we're going to half double crochet in the next 33 stitches. So make sure you get that first half double crochet of the round and go all the way across in each stitch, and you should have 33 half double crochets before you get to that next chain 2 corner. After half double crocheting those 33 stitches plus 2 more, for the repeat where the asterisk says to half double crochet in the next 2 stitches, which I've already done here. So from the first half double crochet, this is not including these corner stitches, but from this first half double crochet until you get to the chain 2 corner, you should have a total of 35 half double crochets. And then for the corner, we're going to work 2 half double crochets, chain 2. I'm going to turn my square a little bit. And then 2 more half double crochets in that chain 2 corner. Okay, don't forget that we're not skipping hidden stitches, but we are working all the stitches across. And then just, again, half double crochet in each of the next 35 stitches. And then after that, you're going to work the 2 half double crochet, chain 2, 2 half double crochet corner. So go ahead and work that all the way around. At the end of round 14, we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first half double crochet of the round. And I'm going to go ahead and fasten off. I'm going to go ahead and pull that on through. I'm going to hide my loose strands, and then I'm going to grab the yarn that I'm using for the base rounds or the finishing rounds. We'll have 3 more single crochet rounds to go. I wanted to give you a view of what we have so far. This is going to need a gentle block, as stated in the pattern, but that's quite all right. I'm really enjoying this texture. Okay, now I'm going to take my dark brown yarn that I'm using for all the final rounds of my squares. I know it's a little harder to see. Again, I apologize for that, but it is going to make a nice color for hiding, any imperfections when I do put them all together into the afghan. I'm going to be using set B on the base rounds or finishing rounds. So let's go ahead and get that slip knot ready. And we are going to work, I'm just going to chain one there just to join for my corner. And for the corner, and that chain, by the way, does not count in the stitch count. We're going to do 2 single crochets, chain 2, and then 2 more single crochets. And again, just for the record, I'm actually working on top of this strand as well. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to single crochet in each stitch across. Make sure you catch that first stitch there that's a bit hidden, because that does count in our stitch count. Okay, so we're going to single crochet across each stitch across, and you should have 39 stitches as you go across. So go ahead and work those single crochets across those 39 stitches. When you get to the corner, we're going to work 2 single crochets, chain 1, 2 single crochets, and then again continue across in each stitch. At the end of the first finishing round, we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first single crochet of the round. If you are using multiple colors, you can fasten off, but I'm going to just slip stitch to that chain 2 corner, which is right here. And I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to work round number 2 of set B, and that's going to be a single crochet, chain 2, and then another single crochet. And just notice that this is just 1 single crochet and not 2 for the corners. And then we're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 44 stitches. After working that corner, we're going to single crochet in each of the single crochets across the side. You should have 43 stitches all the way across, okay, to the next corner. And when you get to the next corner, work a single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet in each corner, and that's going to be your repeat all the way around. So remember now, the stitch count, not including the corner, is going to be 43 single crochets. At the end of the second finishing round, go ahead and join with a slip stitch to that first single crochet. Now we have 1 more round to go. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch to that chain 2 space, and then I'm going to chain 1. And for round 3, we're going to work 2 single crochets in that chain 2 space, chain 2. I'm going to do a little something different here. We're going to do 2 more single crochets in that same space, but then we're going to skip the first stitch, which is, we're going to call that the hidden stitch again. We're going to skip that stitch, and we're going to crochet 1 single crochet in each of the next 44 stitches. After finishing those 44 single crochets across, it brings us to another corner where we're going to work 2 single crochets, chain 2, and then 2 more single crochets. And don't forget that we do not crochet in that hidden stitch this time around. And then we just again do 44 or single crochet in the next 44 stitches. I want to give you a quick stitch count before you complete the round so that this round is as perfect as it can be. You should have a total of 48 single crochets all the way across. That would be the 44 single crochets worked each in each stitch, plus 2 single crochets here and 2 single crochets here in each of the corners. So that makes a total of 48 stitches all the way across, and then you have 4 chain 2 corners around your square. So I wanted to make sure you had those numbers as you finish this round. At the end of this round, we join with a slip stitch to the first stitch of the round. Go ahead and give it a tug and fasten off, and we are done with this square as soon as we hide this loose end or 2. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the square as it's completed. Okay, I really like the way this one came out. It may need a little bit of blocking, but that is very, very doable. So I hope you liked this square. If you did, please give a little subscribe button a click, and you won't miss any more in the series. If this is the first square that you've seen, we've got many more. There's already several already on the channel there, so that you can take a look at those. You can make as many or as few as you'd like for a project of your own, or you can do one of each square in the 30 of the 33 squares in a series. Well, anyway, thanks for joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. God bless. Bye-bye.